As you can see, our guest speaker, Karl, is here today. And last class we went over, I had you come up with a question to ask him. So we're just starting off today with going over your questions. And I think maybe I'll just go down alphabetically. And so how it's going to work. So it looks like you're up, Gavin. So if you wouldn't mind coming up and uh, and so if you're here last class, you sent me a question. If you weren't, I sent out an email saying to prepare a question. So yeah, go for it, Gavin.
Morning. My question was, how do you deal with any biases towards picking art as a curator?
Well, I am not. I'm many things. Obviously, I own a company called Oak Hill Consulting Partners, and I manage 7 artists and get them shows in galleries and in museums and all sorts of things, as well as work with other people in their collections. Well, I am not, because I could get killed for this, a curator now. And that's because these are folks that really professionally, the ones that I've dealt with, work with galleries and museums, and they have a much broader history of putting up work in these places and how the eye works and what they see and how that goes. Biases that your question had to do, though, I'm going to try to answer it as well I can, because I have had shows. It had to do with biases in art.
Yeah, kind of like how you pick like people you manage and help. Does anything like affect what the art is, kind of, or what they stand for, kind of?
Yeah. I typically have a lot of the artists that I deal with have opinions, and they are political. If you ask me, and you are, everything nowadays has a tinge of political in it. Whether it's who they are, whether it's what their art stands for. So I am drawn to artists that have opinions. I think that is a really good thing, because for me, art is always been a vehicle that spurs conversations that actually is crazy world. And gang, I appreciate everyone being here. Obviously, after what transpired last night and yesterday, this is another heavy day for all of us. So thank you all for being present and coming and learning. But we as a society, again, you're asking me, need to come together much more and have these conversations. So I am less drawn, and my bias might be to artists. I love a flower, a piece myself. A beautiful, gorgeous piece of nature is always appreciated to the eye. But for me, it's more about conversation. It's more about trying to take things to the next level and trying to have folks, discuss things and different kinds of people. It's the best. I have one piece from my artist Christos Ferrantatos that talks about a homeless gentleman. He did this 32 pieces for this homeless guy that he met. He was downtown New York and met this gentleman on the street. They formed a relationship, and at some point, my artist Christos used to come and with a breakfast sandwich and a coffee every morning go to work. He meets this guy. Next thing you know, he brings him a coffee and a breakfast sandwich every day. And he finds out his name. It's William. and William had a mask on. This is way before COVID. At some point, Christos says, "What's going on with this mask?" He takes the mask off, and he sees that his whole face is deformed. And he says, "Hey, if I don't wear this mask, people won't give me any money." My artist Christos at the time left after that, didn't go to work that day, went home and started the first of 16, I said 32, 16 pieces, the William series of this guy. And if you take a look at my website, the guy has a halo of stars around him. And I showed this work recently, and somebody said in a forum like this, like, what's going on with the, halo? It almost looks like Christ, almost looks biblical like that. And that is, I get excited even remembering that, because that's what, to me, art is about. You're talking about things like that. You're noticing things. And what I notice might be very different from what you notice. And from whatever our backgrounds are, we may interpret it very differently. So I mean, this is the long way around your question, but that is, I have more of a bias for the mundane, and that's not saying it wouldn't be beautiful, but I'm thrilled, and my clients want art that is going to spur conversation, that's going to hopefully lead us out of this crazy world we're in.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe what I might do is just quickly take a look. I'd love to just pull up that image.
Oh yeah. If you can, John, it's Christos, and I think it's what's the one? And any of the ones from the Williams series. And I think there got to be a good 16, 17 online. I think the one is I Am Beautiful. Is that the one? Yeah.
Okay, let me just share this so we got everything.
Right.
So the I
Yeah.
am,
Take a look at take a look at Star Baby. That's a hot one. So
okay,
yeah. If you'll if we had more time, I would ask all of you, what you see and
right,
everything like that. First, the name, Star Baby. This is a homeless guy on the street, and who he finally met. And like you said, if you can see the crown there, on Christ it was thorns, on him it's almost stars. And it's just such a powerful abstract, and when you hear the story behind it, how he met this guy who is still on the street, by the way.
right,
William still exists. He's on the street. Every time that Christos or I sell a piece of art, we decided a while ago that we shouldn't give him cash. That wasn't the thing to do. So he has services and people that work for him that we pay when we sell some of the work, to make sure that he gets the services and the health care and the lodging, when he does. But it is his choice to be on the street. We have asked a bunch of times, or Christos really has, to get him off the street, but it is his choice to be on the street. But the piece is very powerful. And again, you really do have conversation around it,
okay.
and that kind of thing. So it's it's pretty live.
Okay. All right, thank you. And just from folks that were here last time, KK, you want to come up and ask your question, please?
KK, I'm a Karl, so I'm with a K right there. We got a bunch of Ks, okay?
All right. My question is, where do you find your inspiration?
Good question. I find it sometimes crazily in the shape that the world is in. I really do believe that art and all different kinds of art, whether it be dance, whether it be fine art that I am in the business in, any type of the arts might be the thing that gets us through all this madness. Because I think, again, what you have is two people that could be from totally different parts of the world looking at the same thing, and they are ready to talk about what they see. And what happens is they start to talk about how they were raised. What they see is shaped on how you were raised and where you come from, and what your experiences are. And that has the conversation that might be able to save humanity. Because Lord knows we need it more nowadays than ever. But that's my inspiration. And I realize as a business person that art is a dynamic field. And when you support or buy art, you're also supporting the community. There's, the people that sell the canvas, the people that, frame the art. There's a whole list, a dichotomy of folks behind, the art that was purchased that strengthens they strengthen the whole industry, and when you purchase, you strengthen the whole community as well. So that's what inspires me. And I like to, these are folks that my artists have to be artists. One of my guys, Larry Pierce, wow, how many years ago? I want to say maybe 3 years ago, was working at Walmart. Larry was, doing his 9 to 5, trying to pay his bills, like anybody. And but would come home and have to have his, creative, who's that? Damn.
So, Lawrence,
Wow.
Lawrence,
Who is that, brother? Somebody.
so,
It got hot in here all of a sudden.
so
That.
Lawrence
Yeah,
is Larry, right?
Lawrence. Yeah, you
Okay.
like. Yeah. So, Larry, take a look at a woman with that's supposed to be loud. Wow, loud tie. Jeez, I gotta get him. Yeah. So this guy that did this, was working at Walmart, and he would come home tired, but do art, and try to sell his art here and there and this and that. And after a while, uh, 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 with my involvement, I don't want to say thanks to me, but it was like, Larry, you cannot continue to work at Walmart. You are an artist. This is what you do. And finally now he's in a position where the art can sustain him, and he sells enough work that he can pay his bills and support his family through his art. But so part of my inspiration is to make that happen, for my artists and for my people, because they have to express themselves through this way. Thank God.
Okay.
Yeah, good question though.
Yeah, thanks, KK and Karl. Tomas, you're up next, please.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Chief?
My question is, what are some ways you've seen art be like influenced either by like price or just like the value of the art in like interesting ways?
Well, when it comes, I appreciate the question, man. Um, the money aspect of art is always interesting. And I get that question a lot from collectors. Who should I buy? What will go up? What won't? Um, it's interesting. I can tell you this because there's not a science. Nobody, when Basquiat was 16 and doing sketches and doing art and running around the streets of New York City, no one said to themselves, oh, this guy's gonna, sell art for $50 million. So there's no formula of who will make it and who won't. Good.
Yeah, I just, yeah, keep going. I'm sorry. I just wanted to pull up some of Basquiat's work just while you're
Oh,
talking,
yeah.
just for
Oh, right,
reference.
okay, sorry
Yeah,
about that.
sorry to
I
mess up
didn't
your
know if we
flow
were
there.
good. All right, no. So again, uh, I know this. If an artist, the more that they show, the more shows that they have, the more that they are in galleries, the more that they get museum posts, the more that happens, the higher the value and what they can ask for their art. Yeah. You'll notice the crown, that probably is one of the major things. They just did a really hot collab with The Gap, where you get Basquiat or his corporation, something like that, did that. This could be $25 million. And his work is really large too. He worked, everything was really, really huge. But when he was 18, he was running around the streets of New York, tagging trains and getting in trouble, getting thrown in jail, and partying. So no one really knew, that he was going to be who he was. So that's something that you can look to when determining value. The word is Provence. What they've done and where they've been and where they've shown and things like that. The more that happens, the more you can ask, the more I can ask for in terms of value. But honestly, if I'm cutting people deals all the time because I want to get the work out there. Most artists have a glut of work. So they have more work than they've sold. Most artists. Basquiat was not one, but the most people, people that I work with. So for me, it's about getting the art out there. I rather, if something costs $10 and you want to buy three, I'll cut you a deal because I want the work to move and get money to my artists and me. That's how this whole thing works. There's always, but those are the ways to answer your question. Those are the ways that art goes up and the value changes.
Okay, thank you,
Good
Thomas.
question.
Thank you, Carl. Amelia, you're up.
Come on. Okay, I want to see this. I want to see this onesie I heard about earlier. Come on. You better send me a photo.
Oh, well, good thing my friends aren't here, so. And they're soccer men, so they're recovering from a game, so. All right, my question is, how do you represent artwork and how is this achieved?
Good question. Thank you. That is just changed for me. I have folks that I work with now that have granted me about 5,000 square feet of space, gallery space, in Sharon, Mass. So right on Route 1, about 2 miles from Gillette Stadium, where the Pats play. So I now, my 7 artists that I represent can, hang work up in this 5,000 square foot. It's not a typical gallery. It's a converted office, so it looks a lot like your classroom, there. But it's a huge space, and so I can represent them there versus having to have someone go on the website and take a look, because there's a big difference, I feel, than going on the website and taking a look at something that might spur you. You might see something there that you say, oh, wow, this looks interesting. But eventually you need to see it in person, and ideally on a wall hanging. So that's how I now, and it's been a long time coming, can represent my artists with their work on the wall. This coming Sunday, we are doing an event for breast cancer survivors. So we're having 150 women come, and I think it's kind of a brunch, cocktail mimosa thing. And they're going to be coming, and I'll show them art. Well, I'm going to give a percentage of any sales that day back to the charity. And so in that way, to me, that's probably one of the best ways to be able to represent my artists, like that, in a gallery space. And then from there, if there's a museum, I have a contact at the MFA. That's where I met your really fantastic professor. I'm hoping to be able to do some type of a group show or kind of a solo thing there with a couple of my artists. So everything, once you start, the hope is that things snowball and become other things. So I got this gallery now. I'll rock and roll that for a while, and then hope for some museum shows. I really want to be able to come to AIC, with my artists. So bug your professor and your administration about getting small minority business owners to show art there. That'd be great. But that's the way, that's how that happens. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Amelia. Thank you, Carl. And Jordan, you're up next.
Hi.
Good morning.
How do you go about investing in art and artists? Like what you think will actually be worth a lot of money in the future versus like people that you think won't?
A good question. I guess it's important to say two things about that. Number one, it's not all about money. It really isn't. My artists are making art because they have to. There's something in them that needs to come out, an expression that they have to do now. The reality of our world is you got to pay the electric bills or you won't be able to see anything. The lights will go off, and that's a problem. So they come to me to be able to represent them, to be able to market them and ultimately sell art. So it is a business. I am fortunate that I don't have any artists that I represent that I don't like, that I don't think that their art personally is, all that great. However, that doesn't mean that if I didn't like an artist, that I couldn't represent them if I thought that they were marketable and that they could sell. That's a part of the business and a part of what I do professionally. That's the professional part. You can't always love, what you're doing. That's why it's a job. Well, let me repeat that. You can't always love, what you're doing, because that's the job part. You're getting money for it. So I wish, ideally you all will find something that makes your heart sing and that you get money for. But I think for the first couple years after AIC, it might be a little different. You'll do stuff to be able to pay the rent, and then you'll work to find something that makes your heart sing and you get money for. So that's kind of the business aspect of it. And I hope I'm answering
Yeah.
the question. But that's I could do it the other way. I'm a marketing major, went to UMass Amherst, right down the street from you all. Majored in marketing. So these are skills that I've had. I did 8 years of service with the Val Patrick administration as the director of marketing for him. So these skills are skills that I've always had in terms of marketing and selling and promoting and all those kinds of things. So my foray into art from that background was kind of a natural one for me. And I like, it now allows me to, express some of what's in me as well. So hopefully I answered that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but don't let everything be about the dough. It's a fact of life, but if it's in you and needs to come out, and you really, it's you have passion like that, any budding artists, in this classroom, or people that want to represent, let it be about the money second, and or 1A. Let me say.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Carl. So,
Hello.
What
My
up?
question is, does art have any specific meaning to you? And is there a piece that you acquired more value over time that you that you liked?
So the
wait,
question,
Nick, hold on.
yeah, is there a piece that I like that has acquired value over time
Yeah,
that I own?
that you just like in general, like your favorite.
Oh,
That you saw it
well,
go from a really low value at start and then grew as it got more and more popularity.
I was a buddy of mine. Yeah, I guess I'm not outing anybody. I don't know. Well, used to back in the day date Kehinde Wiley. Oh shit, this is on recording. Well, it's the truth. So what can I tell you? And Kehinde is he's $1 million John. If you want to pull up some of his work, he sells things for millions of dollars, 800,000 here, 1.4 there. I mean, he's really, really huge. So when he was dating him back in the day, he was kind of up and coming, but he wasn't at all to where he was now. You could see the potential, back in the day, but I, it was like, wow, this guy really, really blew up, and is, traveling the world, right? Did the Obama piece, there. I mean, his stuff is, you know, all over the world, all over the world. Yeah. Hot, huh? Right? So, right. He yeah, the super urbanness of this sister in like this, beautifully floral fantasy, is alluring. A lot of people A lot of people really dig it. The ripped jeans, the gold chain, kind of thing, her earrings. Yeah. So Kahinde would be my example. When I first met him, I saw, a lot of this, but, and you could see his talent, and I dug it, but I didn't know, that he would be where he is now. So that's that example. And no, I don't own any. He ain't give me shit. I own nothing. He ain't give now my friend who dated him owns a couple pieces, but he actually did a piece with him in it, but he ain't give me nothing, y'all. So if that's the next question, no, I ain't got any Candy Wiley. I'm a little upset about that shit, if you could tell me.
All right, so thanks, Nick. And so we've gone over, I think, everyone who's here last class and had a question prepared. So for the folks that weren't here, that I haven't got an email from, as you can tell, Karl is a art consultant and works in the art world and represents artists. So I'm just going to put you on the spot. And Javi, do you want to come up and ask a question? You probably want to come up here so he can
Yeah, I
hear
don't
it.
know what to really ask, so
Should we come back to you?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Rodney, you want to come up and ask a question?
How you doing?
Good, Chief.
What's your favorite piece of art? And who's your favorite artist right now?
If I'm really digging Amy Sherrill's work. She is really hot right now and done a lot of really great stuff. A collector of mine and good friend of mine is he's on The Good Doctor. Does anybody raise your hand if you watch The Good Doctor? Anybody? Oh, okay, good. Oh shit, I'll have to let him know. My man, and he's a collector of mine, is Hill Harper. And Hill is actually now he's running for the Senate in the state of Michigan. Yeah, Amy Sherrill.
Okay, so there's Amy Sherrill. Sorry, it took me a
Right.
moment. to
No.
pull it up.
I mean, yeah. A lot of her appeal is the shading of the skin, and you can see if you look at the color and the blackness of the hair, the skin almost has like a ashy or gray almost tint to it, and that is depending on the piece, you see real differences in there. But things don't have to be really intricate. They don't have to be very complicated. They can be very simple yet elegant and lovely. But
What was the other artist you mentioned? I'm sorry. That you were talking about, they're running for office.
My man, yeah, pull up Hill Harper is he's a client of mine. He's bought several pieces from me, and right now he's an actor on The Good Doctor. He's not The Good Doctor, but he's on the show, and he's running for the Senate in the state of Michigan. And he is also going to start a museum in his home right outside of downtown Detroit. And so we've been working to be able to get some art, in there for living artists and for underrepresented, underserved children, mainly of color, to be able to go see. Yeah, that's Hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
Really great guy. He'll be hopefully doing some fundraisers in your area. And if you even get a chance to meet him, he's the author of several books, letters to a young brother, really great stuff. But so I support him. I'm not even going to throw out another artist after Amy Sherrill. I'm going to support the guy that supports artists and buys art and wants to start a museum and wants to change the world and change what's unfortunately been going on with our politics, and represent and serve the state of Michigan. And that, let me throw in a bone, for that. My 8 years of service with the Val Patrick and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts here was tremendous. And if anybody, when you graduate, you're not exactly sure, where to go or what to do, I would recommend, serving. And that's what it is. You get a salary, obviously, but you're serving the constituents, whether it be in locally in Springfield or, where you live or where you're from. But consider that it's a really great first step, and it'll kind of, get you to be able to meet people and get relationships and then decide, where you want to go after that. It was really tremendous for me. I did 8 years in DeVal. I don't know how anybody skews politically, but he, for me, was a great governor and did really incredible things. And you get a satisfaction of serving, much like your professor, John. He, we're both not gonna be tremendous millionaires doing what we do, but there's a satisfaction in working with you all that he gets, and that's is why he does it well. And for me, I got a real satisfaction, working and helping people. I did a lot of work in Springfield in the South End, in Wright, I think it was Wright Park there. We transformed that and brought in new housing. A lot of the housing was blighted. We knocked them down and brought in new housing, back in the day. I brought in a organization out of Chelsea, Latino organization of kids, called Roca. They're pretty big now. That came in and cleaned up the park. It was hot. So y'all should really, think about some of those things. So that's who I support. I don't have the money for Amy Sherrill, so I'm not buying any of her work, but that's who I think is pretty hot. Hill Harper.
All right. Thank you. Jackie, do you have a question? Mike, you got to come up so he can hear you.
Come on up, Jackie girl.
Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. My question is, how do you handle creative blocks and find inspiration when you feel stuck?
Wow, great question. Yeah, I appreciate that. Because everybody does. First thing is to accept the fact that it happens, and it happens to everybody. Now, again, I am not the artist, so it doesn't happen to me in the same way that it happens to an artist. However, everybody gets blocks where you don't know quite, the path to choose, in doing dealings with a gallery, or should I go and accept this percentage? The gallery wants to take 55%, and that's not going to really leave anything for us. Should I go with this? Or, kinds of things like that. There are always a couple of different paths. I think for me, I kind of accept the fact, and I like that I'm in the game. And I kind of say to myself, well, I have a choice because I've given myself some options. So cut yourself some slack, number one, and realize that whatever path that you choose, to get, out of the block, or, for me, whatever path I choose, either it's going to be the right path or I'm going to learn. And I mean, I know that's very, easy for me to say. You hear a lot of people say that kind of stuff, but, you will find in your lives that that actually is the case. I'm one for going down the wrong path once. Dealing with folks that I'm not exactly sure about once. It's I think you do yourself a disservice on a lot of levels if you continue over and over and over making that same mistake, and dealing with someone that hasn't been tremendous constantly. Someone said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And that man, let me tell you, you could really want to change them, and this has to do with, partners and stuff like that as well, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. But it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. You be long time trying to do that. Believe them, and make the mistake once. Don't make 2, 3, 4. I make my mistake once. I learn and I move forward.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Carl. Joe, do you have a question? Yeah, come on.
Joe, holla at your boy.
How's it going?
Hanging in there, Chief.
My question is, like, what are some of the most common challenges you face either representing the artists or trying to get artists to represent?
Good question. I'll take the second part first, because getting artists to represent, for me, well, in my experience, has been very easy. You would be surprised. I was just last night at a dinner at an event where more than one mother who's very excited that their daughter, oh, Karl, you should see her work. It's, oh my goodness, you will love her. You should really come and take a look, and blah, blah, blah. I get it all the time. And I just, I will go and, look at the work because they could potentially be a client of mine. And, but 9 times out of 10, it's not marketable. They might have a little bit of talent, and I might say, hey, continue this. I can see there's something there, but, and then maybe in 10 years, I go back and look or something like that. But so I get a lot of potential artists want to be represented. So that's never an issue for me. And I'm doing this myself. I would love to have, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10, 11 people, 11 new interns, AIC art class, to help me with my website, help me with marketing, and help me with all that kind of stuff. So if anybody's interested, please holler back. You can find me through John. But I can't, it would be a disservice to my artists now if all of a sudden I took on 7 more clients. That's for me to represent 14 artists alone. That's tough. So so that's that part of the question. The first part was what was the first part? Say it again. I'm sorry.
It was the challenges you face, like, representing those artists.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I could definitely speak to that. They're temperamental MFs. I don't want to curse in your class too much, but artists are, really particular, very specific, temperamental people. They want things a certain way. They want their work is like their kids, and they if in some cases, if it's not displayed correctly, and the lighting's not right, or I mean, it can be very difficult working for them. I had a guy that got me into the game early on that I represented a while ago. I'll keep his name in my mouth right now. But he's an older gentleman, and we would do deals and work and to show, and he would started to forget things. And then I would say, hey, this is what we talked about, blah, blah, blah. And he would say, I never said yes to that. And, this and that. So what I did was I said, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to, every time we have a discussion, and especially it has numbers associated with it, percentages, and, important business things, I am going to send you a paragraph, a little executive, paragraph that tells you what we talked about and the numbers. And I just need you to say solid, say cool, give me a thumbs up, or if there wasn't something, correct whatever you heard, or something like that. I wish I would show you my phone now. I must have had, 20 or 30 times where I did this and he didn't say anything, gave me absolutely nothing. So, after a while, I said to myself, well, listen, this is going poorly again, and we keep having these fights. Let me pause this relationship. So I came to him, I said, listen, I'm feeling right about now that I might not be the guy to help you get to that next stage. So why don't we part ways right now? Because I think that you'd probably be better off with someone else. Now I did that because better to have something, better to me to kind of put something on the back burner than the relationship snap. Because once things break like completely, then it's really difficult to bring things back. A fracture, versus a complete separation, two totally different injuries. So, it was good. And now, interestingly enough, he came to an event that I had with another one of my artists a couple of weeks ago, and we talked a little bit about doing he really loved the gallery, and he wants to, probably do a little solo show. So I'll be able to get him in there, now, and in this way kind of build back, where we were. So yeah, in management, what I do, you have to be patient. You've got, well, gang, in life, not only, what I do, please, you gotta, be patient, and that's tough for me, and for you all, for your generation. Everyone wants stuff, immediately, to happen really, really quickly. And that's just kind of not the case a lot. Things don't happen so quickly and so immediately that we would all like it to, in a way where we would love it to happen. But you still gotta make it happen. You still have to be patient and work it, and eventually it'll come. Eventually it'll come. But and have faith and work hard. I mean, now I'm sounding like my freaking grandfather, but honest to God, a lot of that stuff is true. If you work it and you're passionate about it, it'll come. It'll come.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Karl.
Yeah.
Are you set, or do you?
Yeah, I can ask.
And so this is gonna be the last question, because it's about time for us to move on to our next phase of the class. But yeah, come on up, Javi,
Okay.
and we're gonna have to.
How we doing? So you said
Nice,
you
nice.
graduated UMass with a marketing degree. I was just wondering if like this was your plan to go into art and like represent an artist, or what happened along the way?
Thanks. Great question. The answer is completely no, no. I thought, yeah. So, marketing degree, UMass. I thought I was gonna be working with. Well, I did work for Arnold, Fortuna, Launer, and Cabot at the time was the ad agency in Boston. When I worked for them. Right now, it's Arnold Worldwide, and so I worked for them for 3 or 4 years. Kind of low key hated it. It was definitely not what I thought as glamorous and sexy and all that shit that I thought it would be. And so um I'm lucky in that, my parents supported me, at the time, and I lived, with them. So I wasn't, so, out there that I had to do a lot of stuff on my own. And then it became, okay, what do I do now? I worked for a gentleman named Darrell Lee that had a organization called Frontier Research and Planning Associates. And I was his liaison. We had a bunch of consultants that we put on projects, and I, in essence, managed those consultants and in the project. So again, kind of a management thing, made sure that the timelines worked and what they were working on, stuff like that. So did that with Darrell, and then a mentor of mine, and he just passed, a gentleman named Charles Ogletree, who was a big shot at Harvard Law School and a mentor of mine, introduced me to DeVal Patrick. And at the time, DeVal was, the short, kind of, short little nerdy dude, that came from Harvard that was trying to be the governor. I was like, huh? And Tom Riley, the guy that he was up against, it was his time. It was Barack Obama, versus Hillary, back in the day. You said to yourself, like, no way, is this guy gonna go and do this? I liked him. What came out of his mouth was powerful, and he was a great communicator. But honestly, when I met him, I didn't think at all that he would be the governor. And if anyone tells you honestly that they really thought they did it, they're lying to you, because there was no way. But things started to snowball. I started working with him in the campaign, and 2 terms later, he transformed Massachusetts a lot. And ushered in a lot of things. So then all of a sudden I was gonna have a career in politics, in government. And that happened for 8 years. I came out, I took 2 jobs that I hated. And again, I said earlier, you can do things that to pay the bills, and you will, but it's difficult when that alarm goes off in the morning and you're like, fuck, I hate this shit. Like, I don't want to go to this, man. That's hard. So I got out of those fairly early, and then I met Paul Goodnight, who you'll see. Google him and look up at some of his art. He's in the South End, buddy of mine, and I would go over there and we would hang out. And Paul finally, he had art all over his studio, everywhere. It was on the walls, it was on the floor, there was just a ton of art. And I would say to Paul, dude, you gotta, your art is incredible. I was getting fed by watching, looking at his art, but I was like, you got to get rid of some of this. And honestly, I think about the 3rd or 4th time I said this to him, hanging out with him, he said, well, are you going to help me? And I tell you all, just like that, I said, huh, art, I don't have an art history background. I do not. I need to take this course. but I have those skills to be able to market and sell, and I love the art. I'm interested in it, and that's how it happened. Now, my company, Oak Hill Consulting Partners, I had before. I started my LLC, but that's how it started, just as organically as that. And now, 5, 6 years later, 7 artists, gallery. This is the American dream.
Right,
There
well,
you
thank
go.
you.
Y'all can do it too.
Well, thank you. What a great spot to end. Where am I? Sorry, I got to cut
Yeah,
you off
yeah.
there, but ending with the American dream. Thank you so much for joining us.
Right. Love it. Hey, Yang, thank you all. I hope this was a little bit of a value for you. Your questions were tremendous, and pursue your dreams. You guys are just starting out, and again, whether it's a success or failure, it's a learning thing, and follow your hearts and knock them out.
All right. Well, great.
Good, good,
Thanks so
good.
much.
All right. Take
We'll
care.
be in touch.
All
Yeah.
right.